Welcome, finance professionals. Today, we are exploring one of the most powerful efficiency tools in corporate treasury, netting. We will uncover how shifting from gross settlements to net settlements can save your organization millions in transaction costs and foreign exchange spreads. Let us get started. Let's begin with the what and basics. Netting is the periodic net settlement of outstanding payments between corporate entities. Instead of gross settlement, where every single invoice triggers a separate bank transfer, netting consolidates these into a smaller, single set of net payments. Why is this so vital? Every time money crosses borders, it incurs bank fees, float delays, and foreign exchange costs. By netting these flows, we eliminate redundant transactions. How do we do this? By establishing a netting center that acts as an internal clearinghouse. In our deep dive, it is crucial to understand that netting is a zero-sum game. Because one entity's payable is another's receivable, the net sum across the entire participating group is always zero. We are simply optimizing how that zero is settled. Look at this visual comparison to understand the fundamental mechanics. On the top, we have gross settlement. Entity A owes Entity B $100, and Entity B owes Entity A $60. In a traditional setup, two separate bank wires are sent, incurring two separate fees. On the bottom, we see net settlement. The system calculates the difference, and Entity A simply makes a single net payment of $40 to Entity B. We have instantly reduced transaction volumes by 50%, which is the core mathematical advantage of this strategy. Moving to slide 2, we must define the scope of our netting program. What exactly goes into the netting engine? The basics dictate that we include commercial trade, intercompany funding, debt servicing, and hedging contracts. Why don't we include everything? Because certain cash flows are legally protected. We must explicitly exclude payroll, tax payments, and statutory obligations, as local laws often require these to be settled on a gross basis. How do we manage this? By configuring our treasury systems to automatically filter these out. In our deep dive, a critical design choice emerges. Your netting process must be driven by either all payables or all receivables. If you use both simultaneously, you will duplicate your data because every payable inherently exists as a receivable on another entity's ledger. This flowchart illustrates the payment sorting process. On the left, all corporate payments enter the eligibility filter. Eligible flows, such as trade and intercompany and debt and dividends, move into the central netting engine. However, the ineligible flows, highlighted at the bottom like payroll and taxes, bypass the netting engine completely and are routed directly to gross payment to ensure strict regulatory compliance. This segregation is the first technical step in building a compliant netting center. Now let us explore the different types of netting models. What are our structural options? The basics range from unilateral netting within a single firm to bilateral netting between two specific parties, all the way up to multilateral netting involving 3 or more entities. Why is multilateral the gold standard? Because as an organization grows, the web of intercompany invoices becomes unmanageable. Multilateral netting cuts through this complexity, providing exponential savings. How is this achieved? We implement a hub-and-spoke model using a central netting center. For our deep dive, envision a global matrix of 50 subsidiaries. Without netting, they might send thousands of wires to each other. With multilateral netting, each subsidiary calculates its net position and has exactly one cash flow per cycle, either sending funds to the netting center or receiving funds from it. This diagram perfectly captures the operational leap provided by multilateral netting. On the left, without netting, subsidiaries A, B, and C are tangled in a chaotic web of bilateral payments, sending money back and forth. On the right, we introduce the netting center. The web vanishes. Subsidiary A and Subsidiary C simply make their single net payments into the hub, and the hub aggregates that cash to make a single net payout to Subsidiary B. The reduction in banking traffic is absolute and immediate. Let's uncover the true financial powerhouse of this concept, the strategic FX advantage. What happens when we net across multiple currencies? The basics involve offsetting opposing currency flows internally before ever going to a bank. Why is this a massive priority? Because every external FX trade costs money via the bank's bid-offer spread. Netting shrinks the gross volume of FX traded, protecting your profit margins. How does this look in practice? If your Asian subsidiary needs to buy euros and your European subsidiary needs to buy yen, the netting center aggregates these positions, translates them to a base currency like USD, and only executes the net residual shortage in the open market. In our deep dive, This stops a classic corporate leakage, subsidiary A paying a spread to buy a currency while subsidiary B pays a spread to sell the exact same currency. Follow the FX flow on this chart. Asia needs euros and Europe needs yen. Instead of both entities going directly to their local banks and paying retail FX spreads, they send their requirements to the netting center. The netting center performs an internal offset, identifying the exact residual exposure. Only the small, netted residual amount is taken to the FX market for execution. This drastically reduces the total FX volume traded and ensures the company secures wholesale, institutional pricing. To make this work, we must establish the operational netting cycle. What is it? It is the rigorous, end-to-end timeline used to execute netting. The basics follow a set path: data entry, indicative runs, adjustments, final execution, and reconciliation. Why do we need such rigidity? Because inaccurate inputs destroy cash visibility. A disciplined cycle guarantees data integrity and ensures entities have funding ready. How is this enforced? Through a strict calendar, often monthly or weekly, with hard cutoff times for invoice submission. Let's deep dive into the indicative run. This is a practice run. It gives all subsidiaries a preview of their upcoming obligations using estimated FX rates. If a massive invoice is missing, the subsidiary can flag it during this window, ensuring errors are fixed before real, binding FX trades are executed with the banks. This sequence diagram maps the strict timeline of a netting cycle. First, the subsidiary submits its payables to the netting center. Second, the netting center fires back the indicative run, allowing the subsidiary to complete Step 3, confirm or adjust the data. Once locked, Step 4 occurs. The netting center executes the exact FX deals with the partner bank. Step 5 issues the final instructions, and Step 6 culminates in the actual cash settlement. This workflow guarantees precision and eliminates settlement surprises. How do we build this architecture? Let's discuss implementation strategies and technology. What are our options? The basics give us 3 paths: in-house built solutions, hybrid solutions, or fully outsourced operations. Why must we rely on technology? Because attempting multilateral netting on spreadsheets is an operational hazard waiting to happen. Robust systems are mandatory for control. How do we connect it all? By using APIs to bind your corporate ERPs directly to the netting engine. Look at the sample JSON code on screen. This is a basic API payload automatically pulling a 5 million Japanese yen invoice from the Asian entity's ERP and pushing it to the netting system without manual data entry. In our deep dive, we find the hybrid solution is often the sweet spot. You license a powerful, third-party software-as-a-service netting platform, but your internal treasury team operates it. This gives you world-class technology while retaining total control. This decision tree outlines your technology choices. On the left, in-house development carries high costs. On the right, outsourced models sacrifice internal control. The highlighted middle path, hybrid, offers the best of both worlds. All 3 paths must ultimately flow into the ERP integration API, which acts as the digital bridge. This bridge feeds into the final, automated matching and FX engine, ensuring that invoice data is captured and netted instantaneously, completely removing human transcription errors. Let's cement this with a highly important real-time use case. Consider a global firm with hubs in Asia, Europe, and the US. The problem: they are executing 14 separate cross-border payments every single day, bleeding cash on wire fees and bank FX spreads. The execution: the treasurer implements a multilateral netting center. All intercompany invoices are routed here and converted to a base USD equivalent using a transparent mid-market rate. The result is staggering. Those 14 chaotic payments are instantly reduced to exactly 3 net settlements. Taking a deep dive into the numbers, Asia had $350 million in gross receivables and $140 million in payables. Instead of moving nearly $500 million back and forth, Asia simply receives one net payment of $210 million. The overall cash throughput and the associated FX risk plummets by roughly 70%. This is pure, quantifiable value creation. Analyze the before and after states in this diagram. In the before netting box, Asia, Europe, and the USA are trapped in a triangle of multiple, overlapping cash flows. In the after netting box, the netting center absorbs the complexity. Europe simply pays its net shortage of $250 million into the center. The center uses those exact funds to pay out $210 million to Asia and $40 million to the USA. The zero-sum math works perfectly, and the banking network is completely bypassed for the internal offsets. To conclude, netting is a transformative capability. The strategic value is clear. It drives higher profitability by slashing operational expenses, transaction counts, and foreign exchange spreads. Furthermore, the strict timeline it enforces massively upgrades your global cash visibility. However, there are caveats. You must navigate local withholding taxes, handle pushback from local banks losing their fee revenues, and monitor subsidiaries that might try to hoard cash. For our final deep dive, remember this crucial point: netting optimizes settlement, but it does not eliminate underlying market risk. If you have JPY exposure, netting reduces the conversion cost, but you still need a strategic hedging program to protect against JPY depreciation. Your next steps are to centralize your data, select a robust platform, and mandate global participation. Thank you for attending this masterclass. I invite all learners to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and visit quicktechie.com for premium certification prep, including Q&A banks, full ebooks, audiobooks, full-length training, and interview guides. Our final flowchart maps the ultimate strategic value of netting. Netting implementation acts as the catalyst, driving three major benefits: lower transaction costs, minimized FX spreads, and enhanced cash visibility. These three pillars converge into the gold standard of treasury excellence. Ultimately, this operational mastery flows directly to the bottom line, resulting in higher enterprise profitability. Mastering netting is mastering your company's cash flow. See you next time.